Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are the Jersey Comic Crew, your favorite comic book and pop culture podcast. Today, it's the long-anticipated our review of the Marvel Phase 4, Phase 5 San Diego Comic-Con news, and I know many of you have been messaging us directly for this.
Yes. Calling
me individually, and it's here with some
technical. You give people your number? Jesus. You're letting the fans call now?
Yeah.
That's way above and beyond. We're really trying to get those people to listen. Go ahead. Call me with your problems. Yell at me. Let's just do whatever you want.
Well, it's really just my friend.
Oh, that's good.
Just one. I don't have many. It's you and one other person.
Oh.
I need friends.
I need friends.
You're my friends. No, on a serious note, Are you ready to talk San Diego Comic-Con?
I'm so ready. I feel like I've done this before, but I'm so ready.
Yeah, I wonder why. As always, I am Rob Moran, and with me is
Chris Heller.
And we got a great show for you. There's not really a lot of spoilers in this conversation, but be mindful a spoiler or two may come up in conversation. The description of what we talk about is going to be in the link. In the description down below. It's going to have everything plotted out. So thank you so much for paying attention to that. We're going to jump right in. The first thing that Marvel announced at their San Diego Comic-Con Phase 4 announcement was that the Eternals movie is coming out November 6th, 2020.
Yes.
I think it's going to be great. We're going to see the kind of like the cosmic gods of the Marvel Universe coming to light, and they have such a star-studded cast.
Yes.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Great cast. Salma Hayek, still gorgeous.
Angelina
Jolie, still very pretty. Just needs more weight. She looks very thin. Like scary thin.
She's probably getting in shape for the role. I don't know.
Maybe. And then Richard Madden's in it from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Rob Stark. So that's
Isn't
really
the guy from Stuber in it?
yes. Keneal Pajani, I think.
Yeah.
His name is.
But he's been going to the gym. I see it. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah. No, he looks bigger.
By the way, Stuber looks hysterical.
It looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. I'm sorry.
Anyway, Eternals.
Some of us have other views of comedy, but
I think Eternals is going to be fun. I'm not really excited for this though. Out of all of them, this is my lowest tier of like.
I think because I'm not excited yet because we know so little about like
what's actually happening,
and the book too. Like the book itself was like 50 issues max. Of like its entire run in the past like 40 to 50 years.
And it was very convoluted.
Very convoluted, a lot of weird storylines, very much, the cosmic gods of space. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this kind of takes that route of the end of Spider-Man where Nick Fury's in space with the Skrulls and on the ship. Hopefully this kind of continues.
I think they're going to tie into that.
That would make sense to me. But otherwise than that, I don't know how they're going to connect to the Marvel Universe unless it's through that or Captain Marvel or somehow with Guardians. Doubtful.
Maybe. I mean, they're probably going to have to deal with the Celestials, and we see that placement with the Place of Unknown in Guardians.
Nowhere.
Thank you. Sorry. So they're probably going to see that with a connection, but honestly, there's not enough information for me to get excited about this movie.
Yeah, I mean... The biggest thing is like we kind of ballparked this one was coming out then, because they've been talking about it and they already started production. So, it'll be interesting to see. And again, like at this point, that's a movie where it's like, all right, either I trust Kevin Feige and I trust Marvel and what they've been doing and showing me, or I'm going to be skeptical. I trust them and what they've been doing. So
I trust them. Yeah. So I'm not saying that I think it's going to be bad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Moving on, guys, we got to talk about Disney Plus has unleashed a lot of information coming to the streaming platform, which we now know we're going to see a sneak peek at D23.
Yes, D23.
Yes. And I was like 3D, 3CPO.
3D, yes.
3D, 3Ds. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to come out fall 2020. I am excited for this show. We know that the John Wick writer, so hard to say that, the writer for John Wick, it's a lot of W's, is going to be on this movie. Mm-hmm. We're going to get Baron Zemo in his full purple sock is going to be in this.
I've never been so happy about a purple sock in my life.
It's not really a purple sock. It's a purple, like...
It's his head mask, and it's like a cloth kind of old school.
I was going to say headdress, and I was like, that's not the right word.
No, he's a baron, so there is like... eloquence, and there's also stature that involves that. So
what is he the Baron of?
Of Zemos, apparently. I don't know, but there is stature.
You read family. Captain America comics longer than I have been alive.
True. Yeah, his family family had a long-going stature in Germany. They were a big
Nazi.
Oh yeah, his family's like full of Nazis. They were a big time like one of those families that is behind the scenes of the political involvement of the country. So that's why he's Baron. So. Yeah, no, looks awesome. They showed that little teaser in Hall H where it was like Zemo coming on screen. He puts the like sock on.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's like what everyone wanted. That's a comic fan. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Well, maybe we'll see Falcon become Captain America in this.
He definitely is going to see him in the Captain America suit. We know that he's been fitted for the Captain America suit.
Or his own version of it.
Yes. So I think this is going to be a great buddy cop movie. Well, buddy cop TV show. Mm-hmm. We're going to see Baron Zemo, and we're going to have great action, a great story with the writer of John Wick. I'm looking forward to it. I think this is definitely going to be a surprise hit for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm also excited to see Bucky kind of get some storyline that doesn't involve either like we're chasing after him or looking for him or wondering what he's doing. Like even in Civil War, even though that story's great, what they did with him, it'd be nice to see him like on the side of the good guys in the Avengers, where he's not just a guy with guns shooting, and there's actually plot lines for him.
He's the MCU's version of Punisher, essentially, right now, without killing people.
And with the metal arm.
Yeah. Moving on, some Shang-Chi news, guys.
Woo.
So Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is going to come out February 12th, 2021. I have a big theory on this.
Big theories. I like big theories.
So, one, the Ten Rings, as we both are aware, refers to the Mandarin, who we were supposed to get in Iron Man 3, and we did not.
Yes, the real Mandarin. And for those of you who pay attention and watch these movies a lot, which most people do, this is going back to Iron Man 1, where the people who took Tony Stark were from the Ten Rings plan, and they mention it 2 to 3 times in it. And they mentioned the Mandarin, obviously, in Iron Man 3. We thought it was Ben Kingsley, but it's not. He was the fake Mandarin, but there's that little short with him and Justin Hammer in jail.
Yes.
And he does mention, no, the Mandarin is real, and he's pissed.
Yes.
So we haven't seen anything since then, but this is the real Mandarin. This is the real deal, and I'm so balls to the wall excited.
I love like the underground Oriental Asian crime boss. I think it's going to be great.
Yes.
But everybody's writing this off as a kung fu movie. It's definitely going to be a lot more than that. I'm thinking... So in the comics, Shang-Chi's father is... what's his name? Oh, wow.
Oh, the name of the...
Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Thank you for waiting for me.
Like it's facial hair something.
Yeah, it's like the long people make fun of it. Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
So Marvel does not have the rights to make a Fu Manchu movie or to have him in the property. So what I think they're going to do, they're going to make the Mandarin the father of Shang-Chi.
Ooh.
And then you're going to have Shang-Chi trying to go against the family business, go against the corruption in there. And then we're going to have the 10 rings, and he's going to be like the Avatar on crack, and he's just going to mess with people, and I think it's going to be a fun old time.
That's a good theory. I like that. I like that a lot. I could totally see that, especially since they can't use Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
And
like
multiple reasons.
Yeah, and then also you have Shang-Chi, who's also more Americanized, and maybe the Mandarin's more, in the beliefs traditional of their customs.
I mean, the Mandarin's all magic. Like, this is going to be an interesting kung fu reality, like real fighting versus magic powers. Mm-hmm. I think it's also this is showing Marvel's brilliance too. I think this is a brilliant move by Feige and Marvel. We all had these questions about like post Endgame, obviously spoilers. No Cap, no Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Arguably Thor's not going to be around because he's in space. What are we doing like with the Avengers? How are they going to sell us this second-rate team of Avengers, right? Not counting Fantastic Four, X-Men. But how are you selling us this Avengers lineup when it's
a lot of your hard star players are gone,
and your big hitters are gone? It's like doing a Justice League without Batman and Superman, right? So like, how do you sell us these movies without it being a part of this bigger scope? Without when your Spider-Man's doing something, and then you have no Cap and no Iron Man,
and then the people you do love are like nowhere to be seen.
Exactly. So I think this is the brilliant part. You're taking these really, really great villains, these villains we've wanted to see, villains that we've talked about for years about like being on screen. Mandarin being one of them, A-class villain for Iron Man.
Yes. For Iron Man.
Iron Man's biggest villain. And you're taking the Mandarin, who we've wanted to see, who everyone who was like, who the hell's the Mandarin then? People who may not know the comics, and you explain it to them and give this imaginary amazing story.
A lot of people I was talking to about the Mandarin, they're like, who is he? I was like, you ever watch the animated like Marvel TV shows when you were growing up. Remember the guy with the green skin in the ring? So like, yeah, I was like him.
Yep.
But he's not green.
When
I was younger, I thought he was green, and then somebody was like, "No, what are you freaking talking about?" And I was like,
"What are you talking about? He's not green."
Why did they make him green
in the show? I don't know. Maybe because
maybe they'll make him green in the movie, and he was like a Skrull.
He's a Skrull.
He's a Skrull Mandarin.
Now the question is, who isn't a Skrull? But like, yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant move to give a movie like Shang-Chi, right? Like Shang-Chi at the end of the day is like a C/D list hero.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say B, I'd say low C.
I'd say C.
And you're giving him a top tier villain to fight that we've wanted to see for a while. I think that's awesome. I think that's how you bring us in. That like Feige's got my money again. He's like, yep, putting this person in here. Shang-Chi, fuck it. He's fighting the Mandarin. What? Of course, I want this.
I think the only reason that Mandarin is relevant in the pop culture landscape is because he was brought up in the Iron Man films. I think if you not count that, him as an overall villain in the comics, I feel like would probably be B minus C plus.
I disagree 100%. I think like the Avengers have gone against him many a times in the comics. He's Iron Man's hands down biggest villain and best villain, besides, in my opinion, Doctor Doom, which is an argument discussion for another day. Mm-hmm. But the Mandarin, it's hard to not look at what would have been, right?
Okay.
Because you look at the character of Iron Man, we had Robert Downey Jr. for this long. If they did a Mandarin movie with RDJ and Iron Man, you're talking a movie of massive scale proportions. You're talking an amazing storyline where Tony has to deal with things he cannot understand. Tony is all tech. Tony is all, numbers, and there has to be a reason. There's always an answer. I can figure this out every time if you just give me some time.
I agree.
He can't do that with magic. Well, That's something he can't understand.
Yeah, we saw that recently in the War of the Realms crossover with him, and he was fighting that magical dragon that's a ripoff of Saudron from Lord of the Rings. And I was like, oh, he can't deal with magic. Like, we see that, so that would have been cool to see with Robert Downey Jr., but...
Yeah. But at the same time,
they saved him for this.
Yeah, and I think they're going to use the Mandarin as like this overarching character? No, but it could be an overarching character for Shang-Chi if your theory pans out and if he becomes like a family member.
I think he's going to be a recurring villain in the Marvel mythos, and he's going to be like almost like a smaller Kingpin, if you will. Like maybe other heroes are going to deal with him on like here and there. They might. I think they're going to go and play with the crime boss very well.
I just hope they do Mandarin justice, because I think a lot of people will end up really liking that character as a villain and almost being like, crap, man, can you imagine if this was an Iron Man? But we'll see. But Shang-Chi's going to be awesome, I think.
Speaking of what's going to be awesome, another Disney Plus show has been announced. WandaVision is going to come out in spring 2021, and it's going to be after the events of Endgame and before the events of the new Doctor Strange movie.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, well, thank you. I can read.
Thank you.
I can read, and I keep up on things. I know. So my theory with this show, I'm going to say, is that this is not the real Vision.
Okay.
This is Wanda's vision of Vision. That's why it's called WandaVision. I think Wanda goes on a dark path after the events of Endgame, goes into like a depressed state, and kind of creates a mini House of M, if you will. So in the comics, she says no more mutants. She eliminates all the mutants from existence and create like an alternate timeline, an alternate world. I think she's going to do the same thing, but for herself, and she's going to be able to spend time with Vision. And now in this series, in like the description, the little that we do know, they mentioned that we're going to see them go into multiple different phases, if you will. I think that it's going to be her going through different realities with Vision. And she created like this whole multiverse that will bleed into Doctor Strange.
Interesting.
That she's going to go, oh, now she's in Vision like in the 50s, and now it's like more modern day, and now she's with him, but she can still see something's off, and she doesn't realize that she's created all this. And I think at the end, Doctor Strange is like, all right, cool, this is done now. I need you to help me fix your mechs. And that bleeds into the Doctor Strange announcement, which we'll get to later.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I like that a lot too. I don't necessarily think she's going to like lose her mind.
Okay.
Or go crazy like a lot of people are thinking, like House of M, because I don't think she'd be able to help Doctor Strange in his movie later on.
If she went crazy.
If she's unstable like that, because like when she goes unstable, it's like pretty bad. her mind is basically unraveling because of her powers and all the things that happened to her in the comics. It was like back to back to back, like Vision dying and like the kids and finding out Magneto's her dad, and it was like all this stuff like boom 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 boom, and it just like it was too much. I think the Vision thing is good. Like like we saw her in Endgame say like, to Thanos, you took everything from me, and he's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, it's
I don't know who the hell you are. But I could totally see her on a path of searching and refining herself, and saying like, hey, like maybe with this multiverse theory now, and it seems like Marvel's opening itself up to its own multiverse,
which is awesome,
which is great.
That allows for so much room to play with all these different kind of events.
Oh yeah. So with that in mind, there's a possibility you take that and say like, hey, Wanda searches for a Vision on a parallel world. Maybe she's searching for one where she's dead and he's still alive, so they could be together.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe she's looking to escape her world and try to find a world that wasn't affected by Thanos.
So you don't think she created help assist create the multiverse? She thinks she's just going into it.
I think it's a possibility, or she figures it out somehow. I don't think she's as strong as she is. I don't know if she's strong enough to create the multiverse.
But her powers in the MCU derived from the Reality Stone.
True.
Which you could change reality with.
True.
And they could just play into her emotions untapped it
into different realities. I don't think she's creating them so much.
Okay.
But I think her vision, Wanda's vision, is trying to find him somewhere that makes sense for them to be together. I think that's more the premise, because if you bring her into the House of M and make her kind of nuts and loose, you're gonna have a really hard time tying those story threads back together and then releasing it back for the Doctor Strange movie.
Okay.
Where it's like he needs her help for something. I doubt he's fighting her.
No.
So he needs her help for something. She has to be cognizant enough to help him.
Yeah, because she's playing a big role in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. So I don't know fully what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be more along the lines of she's heartbroken.
Okay.
She's heartbroken and trying to find her place and trying to realizes there's other worlds out there and try to maybe jumps through a couple and see what's on the other side and tries to find maybe there's a Vision out there for me who lost me and is feeling the same way I do.
I mean, it also could be we could both be wrong and they could just rebuild Vision and they could just live a happy life.
Do you think Vision's coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they'd be crazy not to bring back Vision.
Why?
I think Vision is a good character that they haven't really explored well enough.
No.
The whole created by man syndrome, I think they could play and use that trope more in the MCU, and it's already a powerful character that people liked, and we see him die.
You don't want to go out like Quicksilver?
Yeah, I don't want to go out like Quicksilver. That's another thing. And I think Wanda and Vision have such a deep history in the comics, it'd be kind of robbing both those characters if we don't explore that in future MCU movies or limited series or ongoing series, whatever these are.
Any chance that Wanda opens up the door for the talk or the conversation about mutants? Because she technically is if anyone recalls, they made Wanda and Quicksilver for Avengers 2 Inhumans to get around the fact that they were mutants, because they couldn't use mutants because the Fox deal wasn't in place and Fox still had the rights to mutants. So now that that's done and Disney has all their toys back, do we open the door and Wanda has while she's looking for Vision, while she's trying to fix herself and her emotions and her where her place is in this game of life, do we get the reveal of hey, you weren't an Inhuman, you're a mutant? And then she's like, what the hell's mutant? You know what I mean? And it's the first time we hear the word uttered.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Freaking
Magneto,
biggest villain in Marvel.
I could see that. I definitely think that she's
not gonna bring Magneto.
I think she's gonna have some kind of breakdown, and then it's gonna create something, either multiverse, mutants, something like that. But now there's gonna be mutants. There's gonna be others like me. Maybe because of her travels. I feel like they could do so much with her.
They can.
This is the character. All right, we could create our world because of what happens in this, and then Doctor Strange. I think those two are going to be the biggest and most important pieces because of those two characters and what they can do when they're together.
I agree. I think Wanda actually might be, at the moment, the most important Marvel character. because
of her future implications of what she can do.
Yes, and she has that opportunity to bridge the gap between and live in both of those worlds of the Avengers and the X-Men when they eventually get to the X-Men and the mutants. So
exactly.
I think she is a lot. We're going to see a lot more of Liz Olsen and the Scarlet Witch than I think a lot of people realize. I think there's going to be a lot more in there, like. That's going to happen. Whatever they do with X-Men, how they break that ground and how she gets implemented in that, I think will be a huge part of this too, and kind of giving you a familiar face while we start new things too.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of craziness,
crazy,
Loki, the TV show, is going to be announced for spring 2021. It's going to be post Endgame, and it's going to take place when Loki picked up the Cosmic Cube, when they travel back in time, and we're going to follow his events.
And he slipped away through the portal.
Exactly. So
again,
we're going to see a Loki who doesn't have any of that character development, being like that anti-hero, almost good guy. He's going to be back to the villain that we all love and hate. I'm fine with this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is the way you introduce Loki back into the main MCU through a back door without ruining all the damage. I mean, without ruining all the character build-up that you had before with him and cheapening his death.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I want to see more of Loki doing Loki things that don't involve like, hey, we're focusing on Loki for this minute, but now we got to get back to Thor, or we got to get back to the Avengers, we got to get back to whatever else is happening.
Yeah.
I want to see this show be the doorway that opens up the rest of the 9 realms.
Oh,
right?
That'd be nice.
We've gotten 3 Thor movies, and we've seen Asgard a lot. We've seen a lot of Asgard, especially in Ragnarok.
We've seen Midgard, obviously, because that's Earth.
Earth is every single one, and then we see a little bit of like Muspelheim, or we saw a little of the Jotunheim, which was the Frost Giants. I would love to see Alfheim and all the other like
other Heims,
ridiculous like worlds that have bridged throughout Asgard. You know, and see Loki kind of go from world to world, seeing what he could do, and kind of see if he could take over, or he's planning for something, or.
I have a crazy idea.
Ooh, what?
What if, you know how we were saying, well, like, what's the next big thing?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it's going to be
Loki
Secret
2.0.
Wars. It's going to be this. What if they do something very recent? Because they've been pulling from that.
War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds. And that's how you end. Ooh. That's how you end Chris Hemsworth's Thor. He becomes God Thor. He becomes Odin, and then he leaves.
I wouldn't be opposed to it,
but like they like do this whole build up. Like we're gonna see him in Asgard.
And Beta takes over.
Beta could take over, or they could make Jane Foster if we fall in love with her, which we'll get to that.
I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna be one and done.
I could see them doing War of the Realms, where Malekith, who everybody hated, and everybody discounts that movie, and you know the Russo brothers like, oh, you have to watch it again because of Endgame, and now
they make you watch that fucker over.
And now they're like, wait a minute. We're really going to make you watch it to realize who this guy is, and then have essentially all the realms attack Earth. And that become like the Thor 6. Like Thor 6 could be War of the Realms.
I think as great as I would love to see Chris Hemsworth do a War of the Realms movie, especially just picturing him tied to the Yggdrasil tree in the sun, waiting for Mjolnir to be reborn.
Yeah, so crazy guys, he burns himself in the sun.
He like
to try to get his hammer.
The sun with the tree, the bridge tree is nuts.
Like in Thor 4, he could become unworthy. He goes with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
He just did that. He was just unworthy forever, though.
No, it broke.
No, it broke, but he was just without the. Like, he was without Mjolnir. He's still without Mjolnir, technically.
Yeah, but, like, he is worthy. Like, they didn't do, like, also, the whole unworthy thing. Also, I always had that
question of, like, in Endgame, where he takes Mjolnir, and he's like, I'm still worthy. He takes it back with him. Does that mean the Thor of that time has no Mjolnir?
Well, they go back in time, so he doesn't miss it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because Cap goes back to the same second where that happened.
That's right, and puts it back.
Yeah.
So, my question is also this, like, if we... I think as much as we've seen and we know, like, especially with the TV shows, right? Like we didn't talk, like, Supergirl's doing Leviathan. That's happening now in Superman.
Yeah.
Like, that's happening right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
Unless they do the old stuff. But, you know, a lot of these stories, like Flash is doing Bloodborne. That's a character that came out 2 years ago. You know, like, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out in the comics that are way more recent. I think War of the Realms might be just too recent.
For
this stuff. Like, again, this is new to us. This has been planned for like a year or two.
Yeah.
This step. But I think eventually totally could happen. But I think for now it could be more like Loki trying to build up his own army or post Thanos and like there's no cosmic god to stop me now. I don't have to answer anyone. Let's see who I could get on my side kind of thing.
And they could always change War of the Realms to be Loki.
True. I mean, they could
instead of Malekith, you know what I mean?
I would love to see Malekith brought back and done the right way.
True.
I think that would be the biggest win.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of characters that we don't have right now. I mean, they could do it. It's just a lot of characters we don't have. The whole thing with Cap going into the Jotunheim to find Thor.
Nobody, you could, all those characters are interchangeable except Thor.
True. But I don't know if there's enough, even like, the War of the Realms is like not just an Earth fight, it's 9 planets worth of armies. Even with as many people we saw in Endgame, you know, not counting the entire Sorcerer Supreme army, not counting the entire Wakandan army, like that's still a lot of people. Like think of all the street level heroes, all the like the Fantastic Four, like everyone. Like it's tough, but I think maybe down the line it could be a possibility. Anything's possible. Anything's possible now. After Endgame, anything's possible now.
Speaking of anything is possible, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is the official title of Doctor Strange 2.
Name.
It's going to come out May 7th, 2021. And as we hinted to, or kind of spoiled in the beginning a couple topics ago, this is going to bleed right in after WandaVision. Scarlet Witch is going to have a huge role in this. Not just like a little cameo like Doctor Strange had with Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
No, Ragnarok?
No,
yeah.
Dark World.
No.
The end of
it was
Dark
Ragnarok.
World. Was it Ragnarok?
It was Ragnarok because he was looking for Loki.
Ragnarok?
Yeah, because Loki he had to keep falling. He was looking for his father. The whole thing. It was Ragnarok.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because it was pre-Ragnarok.
No.
Because he's looking for Odin on Earth, and that happens in the beginning of Ragnarok.
In that movie, yes.
No, it was the after credit of Doctor Strange, where Thor's in it.
Yeah, they teased it, and then they had a whole scene of it in Ragnarok. Somebody's going to correct us.
I think so. But they had both. They had an after credit scene.
Yes, they had both.
Yes, okay, that makes more sense.
All right. Anyway, Doctor Strange 2 is going to be one of the scariest MCU movies that have appeared to date.
Or the only scariest?
Ultron was kind of scary.
Ultron should have been way scarier.
He should be way scarier.
Way scarier.
In the beginning, I was like, oh, he's kind of freaky. Then it's like, oh, they dropped the ball.
Freaky.
I was like, oh, he's like a little robot. Anyway, it's still going to be PG-13. So, yes, you take your kids to watch this. And, yes, it's still going to be a fun time.
Yes. But it will be like the MCU's first horror movie, basically.
Correct. I think that we're going to get vampires in this.
Oh.
I think again, Doctor Strange, just like I said with WandaVision, between these two, this series and this movie, the MCU is going to change permanently. It's either going to be, the multiverse. I don't think it's going to be that. I think they're going to close it up and they're going to just deal with it. I think it's either going to lead to mutants and something that comes out of there that's going to affect people and give them mutant powers. I think either vampires are going to come out and that's how we get Blade. Spoiler, see it for later in the episode. It's fine. Which is going to be in Phase 5. I don't know. I'm just excited. I don't even know who Nightmare is the villain, right?
Nightmare is definitely at least one of the villains that we know of.
Nightmare, he makes some nightmares.
I don't think that anything is going to come out and give people mutant powers.
You don't think there's not going to be a catalyst that an energy or a source or like an arc reactor explodes and people are like, oh, the X gene's activated in the world?
No, the X gene is brought on through just your genes and your genetic makeup. I think they'll explain that with the snap and certain people who came back are, you're not going to be 100% different or 100% the same. And
you think the people that came back from the snap are going to have the X gene?
Yeah, and because
they could be old and still have
no, because the X gene comes out when you hit puberty.
Yeah, but if we're using that the snap is the catalyst, then everybody comes back. Doesn't mean only young people are going to have it. I mean it'll help, but think like
maybe once their hormones kick in, it'll push it out.
I don't know.
I mean,
because if you do everybody's young, you don't get Magneto or Charles Xavier.
Maybe.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm sure they've already figured it out, but I can't see it just being like, here's this thing that now we have mutants. Like that to me seems cheap. But I think this movie, as far as Doctor Strange, I like the vampire thing because that bleeds into something later.
bleeds.
Like that. But,
I don't think you did that on purpose. Did you?
I did.
We've been saying bleed all day.
No, I haven't.
I said we have. I have.
You've been saying bleed all day.
Yeah, Wanda, it's bleeding into this. I kept saying that before.
You can't let me have it, can you?
Sorry. I'll let you have
You
it.
just can't do it, can you?
Okay.
So, like, I think for this movie specifically, when you talk about multiverse, Doctor Strange is kind of that character, right? Like, he's like the multiverse character. He's the dimension hopping, like, you know,
show stopping.
Yeah, like
heart throbbing,
mind numbing. Like, if you think DC, you think Dr. Fate and going through the realms and the house and like all the doors that open up. For Doctor Strange, it's like the same thing. He could create these, like, he already creates the teleports, but I think for this, you're going to have a very interesting take of Stephen Strange, the person.
Okay.
Where you're not going to be able to, like, almost like Tony Stark, right? He's a brilliant doctor. He's kind of cocky because he's just good at everything. But what is Stephen Strange, like, what stops Stephen Strange in his tracks? Like, what scares him to the point where, one, he actually admits he needs help and goes to Wanda for help. And number two, not only admits he needs help, but, like, can't figure something out.
Maybe.
On his own. So,
or maybe a nightmare shows that Wanda is the threat.
Maybe.
But I don't like that theory because...
I don't know if stuff's going to leak into our world from the multiverse movie.
What do you mean our world? Oh.
But, like, he's like, wait, it's here right now? Where?
Like, there's a chance I could become a mutant? Would you become a mutant right now? With a chance of you becoming like a blob or like a boogeyman?
Like blob? I'm pink and see-through? Like glob?
No. Well, yeah, like glob or blob.
Oh, man.
Or like toad. Or like just made out of boogers. Like, would you take the risk?
I probably would take the risk.
Yeah, of course I would. It's not even a question.
I mean, even if you're Toad, at least you could jump really far.
And your tongue skills.
And your tongue is like the shit. So I would just be a cleaner Toad. I just wouldn't be grimy like Toad.
You have to.
No, you don't.
Toads have to be slimy. You're going to be oozing slime.
No, you're not. You're oozing.
In my scenario, you're oozing slime if you're Toad.
When you sweat, it's just ooze.
It's ooze. You don't sweat. You're a reptile. You're just like an oozy.
Ooze?
If you're not wet, you like start to dry. You have to have like a little bottle of Mister.
I don't know if I want that at all.
I still do it.
Can you imagine trying to sleep? You're just stuck to everything.
You sleep in a water tank.
Oh, God.
You change it. You sleep.
Nah, I'm good.
So you're not going to take the mutant thing?
Unless it's cool powers. I don't want
You won't know. It's a 50-50 shot.
No, you got to break. That's like a 1.1% shot for every power. Like, you just got to hope you get the best of something.
I'm still doing it.
And what if you become like Mystique or something? Like,
that's dope.
That'd be dope. Or what if you're Rogue? You can't touch anybody? That would suck. You touch yourself, you fucking die.
I don't know. I think she could touch herself, right? We're not getting into this conversation.
No, but she can. She can.
Okay.
Because we've seen, like, she's like fixed her hair and like wiped her face.
Chris, we're way off topic.
I know,
we need
but
to
I'm
get
just
back.
saying.
Let's segue back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe because we were just talking what ifs the whole time. Oh. Speaking of what ifs, guys, Marvel has introduced the What If animated show for Disney Plus summer 2021. All the voice acting is going to be from every character in the MCU. Are going to come back. They're going to reprise the role.
We get Watu the Watcher.
Yes, Watu the Watcher is going to be in this, and the animated series What If are going to be hypotheticals in a scenario like what if Toad instead of had like regular slime, like he just
actually was a toad.
It was an actual toad, or like didn't like Frog Thor start in a What If comic?
Frog Thor, yes. Also,
so what if Thor was a frog? Boom.
Jane Foster's Thor was also a What If comic.
Yes.
Which 50, 60 years later came a thing. So
what if Taserface had Taser on his face? I'm sure it's going to be a thing.
Well, yeah, they had like what if like the Punisher was. What if Frank Castle was bitten by the radioactive spider?
Spider-Man. Oh, it's the spider. I said, what if he's bitten by the radioactive Spider-Man? Can you imagine Peter Parker's like,
it just bites him?
Would you let him bite you?
Spider-Man?
If you get powers.
Fuck yeah.
But like he has to like take out like a chunk. Like it's like a like a gnarly like zombie bite.
Shit out of me. Yes. If I become Spider-Man, why not? I'd just heal.
It'll be a hole in your arm. It's like a divot. It's like a cutout.
It would heal after the spider powers kick in.
It's not gonna regrow the muscle.
Not in like a day, but it would heal.
Huh. You think?
Yeah.
You think if Spider-Man like ripped off his bicep, it's gonna regrow? I don't think his healing factor is anywhere there.
Getting us off track.
I'm just talking what ifs.
But that's it. It really is. It's gonna be, and I think it's the best format because animated what if is just makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, like what if the Hulk was like the God of Thunder or something ridiculous? Like you could do all these things.
What if Thor was purple?
I mean, I guess if you really want to ask that question, but
I have so many questions I want to ask.
But yeah, like all these really cool things, like, you know, what if Howard Stark went into the chamber instead of Captain America and became Captain America? How would that go into?
What if the Fantastic Four's powers were all reversed?
Yep. So like, there's all these questionable things that people kind of have conversations about, right? Like, oh, like what would you think would happen if this happened, or what would happen if this happened? So I think it's an awesome cartoon. It is canon, like it's a part of Phase 4.
Yeah, I mean these stories, I don't think are.
Well, it's canon in the Marvel timeline, but it's not a part of Marvel.
Correct.
Like it's not gonna affect. You know, it's not gonna be like, what if Chris Evans came back and played Captain America? Like that's not gonna happen. If it does, I'll pee. But like,
do you have to use the bathroom?
No, I'm actually good. Yes. Hypothetical pee.
Hypothetical. Yeah, you would hypothetically piss your pants.
Yes, but
it's a weird statement.
It's not going to be like that you made.
You brought up pee.
I just said hypothetically. You said hypothetically pee your pants. Blame yourself, sir. But like I think it's going to be more like just like fun, you know, humorous, but also really cool stuff we'll see in an animated show.
I think this is going to hit the nail on the head. I think it's a bullseye for them. And speaking of pinpoint accuracy, Hawkeye is getting his own TV series. And it's going to be this what?
Nauseating.
No, it's good. It's going to be in fall 2021. It's going to follow his time as Ronin, and it's going to be him training Kate Bishop, his successor. Yes. What's nauseating about Hawkeye show?
Nothing's nauseating about.
All right,
Hawkeye
that's
show.
what I thought.
You are 100% correct.
I think this is going to be pretty cool.
I do too.
You got something to say?
All right. No, I'm good.
Good.
I thought this was an actual good idea. I didn't flinch, bitch. But
I just beat you on camera with my mic.
But it was an interesting kind of rumor a while ago, right? Like we had this rumor that there was going to be, they're going to do a Hawkeye show for Disney Plus. They're going to have Kate Bishop in it, and we were kind of like, yeah.
Okay.
I think this was pre-Endgame. Everyone's like, but isn't he going to die? Like, we're all just like, we're pretty sure he's going to die.
They're doing a Black Widow movie. He's the one to die. Come on.
So, interesting enough, I am a huge Kate Bishop fan. I still like Clint better, though.
Yeah, of course.
I think this will be a really cool show, kind of handing off the torch, another OG character, handing off to a new character.
I feel like what they're going to do with Kate Bishop, I think they're in the prime real estate to kind of combine Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
So they're like, all right, you're going to be the femme fatale, or we're going to make sure you're great with spy, and then you're going to do
assassin with a bow and arrow.
With a bow and arrow,
I could see that.
I think, and I'm really curious to see his time as Ronin. I wonder how much, if it's going to pair up together.
I think a little bit. I think Kate is going to be a little more sinister in her tactics, a little more gruesome with like beating the hell out of people, not so much just like point and shoot.
Yeah, because now this is a Hawkeye post Endgame.
Yeah,
post losing his best friend / we all know he loved her.
Yep.
How come? Sidebar. Mm-hmm. How come they never did that?
They were just best friends.
Yeah, but in the comics and everything, aren't they like together?
No.
Nope. Really?
Yep.
Is this in my head?
Yep.
Who's Hawkeye with in the comics?
He's dated a couple people, like small characters. Like he's dated Mockingbird for a while. He's dated a couple people, but like
I really thought they were together.
Is like legit an assassin. Like she has no ties.
They're always like buddy and stuff like that. I guess I always hope they got together.
Dated Tony Stark for a bit.
Bitch. Clint's right there, woman. This is why you're dead.
She killed herself.
You know what?
I don't think it's that skin deep. I think it's just she's been trained her whole life to be a certain type of person, and that's what she's been.
You know, we're speaking a lot about love. You know where this is going, guys, if you're following. That's right. Thor Love and Thunder has been announced. This is going to be the 4th movie in the Thor franchise. It's going to come out November 5th, 2021.
And the theme song better be Love Gun by Kiss, or I'm going to cry.
It's not going to be Love Gun by Kiss.
It better be Love Gun by Kiss. That makes so much sense.
So what we know from
it already looks like the logo looks like 80s Thundercats and like He-Man. Like it should be 80s like glam rocky.
I think they're going to change the logo look.
I don't.
We'll see.
I like the logo. I'm fine. You're such a snob. I don't know. I just.
What am I? I'm smoking now.
Yes.
I picked up a terrible habit. No, judge me here.
Yes, because that's part of your snobby routine. Like, I don't know. I think it's not good enough.
It's no good.
You're just like a European snob now.
Not even a vape. I have like, what do I have? Like
vapes.
with the cigarette on the long pointy stick. I'm like
the black stick that it goes inside. It's like the swizzle straw of cigarette.
the swizzle straw of cigarette. You know what? If cigarettes were on swizzle straws, it'd be very tempting.
A lot more kids will be smoking. We're giving ideas to horrible tobacco.
Well, they have Juul already, so they don't need us.
That's all right.
But in Thor 4, Love and Thunder, we know that Jane Foster, Natalie Portman's coming back to the MCU, and she's going to pick up the hammer and become Lady Thor. We need a better name for Lady Thor. It's just Thor. Her name is just Thor.
Yeah.
But we all refer to her as Lady Thor.
They call her Lady Jane. They call her Lady Thor. Goddess of Thunder.
She's gonna be. Let's go with Goddess of Thunder. Let's make that a thing. She's gonna go and become the Goddess of Thunder, which is great.
Bring it back.
And we know Valkyrie. She's gonna find her love. She's gonna find her queen. So she's the first confirmed hero from the LGBT community.
I didn't know that. You told me that.
I know.
I had no idea.
That's awesome.
I'm like, cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Maybe she marries Lady Thor.
I don't think so.
No, I think Jane Foster dies because in the comics she has cancer, and every time she uses the power, she dies. Not dies. I mean, her death is accelerated. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where it gets a little convoluted to me because I thought Ragnarok really righted the ship for Thor. If you look at Thor just by himself, Thor 1's pretty good. Good origin story. Thor 2 is meh. And then Ragnarok kind of rights the ship to the character where it's like, hey, even Hemsworth was like, we got to do something different. Like, this is stagnant. I'm just a barking infant with muscles, and I hit things. Like, there's no depth. There's no anything.
That's how I feel about myself every day.
Ragnarok really righted the
minus
ship
the muscles,
and like kind of started this trajectory that we further saw in Infinity War and Endgame, right? And I'm okay with keeping the comedy stuff. I'm a little worried that it's going to be too packed with story.
I think, like you said with the Thor world, let me reference what you said first before you continue. Thor 3 right the ship in the terms of Thor, the character.
Yes.
Not Thor, the world of Asgard and everything. Yeah. So I think Thor
destroyed Asgard.
Yeah, literally reset it. They had to destroy his world to fix him.
Sort stuck a knife and sword through it.
I think Thor 4, Love and Thunder, is going to reset and fix the world of Asgard, of the Norse mythology, of all that. Like, they're going to bring the king, they're going to give it to Queen, to Valkyrie, going to reset the empire.
Okay.
Whether it's on Earth or off Earth. I think it's probably going to be off Earth.
I think it's definitely off Earth in space, because, I mean, again, we originally thought Guardians 3 was going to be before the next Thor movie.
We all thought that,
We all thought that. And so if it's not, like, again, he's still in space, he could still be fat. You know, who knows? Maybe they'll do like an 80s montage where he's working out. Like, you know.
You know what? I'll make a deal with you. If they keep the logo, they have to do the 80s theme montage, and I'll be fine.
I want the 80s theme montage.
I'm just saying.
I love montages.
I'm saying if they
gonna need a montage.
If they have to have that logo, they have to have that.
The logo's great. I don't know.
Great is a very strong word.
I like the logo.
It's fine.
I also like He-Man. So
you love He-Man. I bet he loves He-Man. No judgment.
But no, like
Did you have the He-Man action figures? What am I doing? We
the
keep
80s ones?
Yeah.
I did.
I had the Green Tiger. My brother had it. My older brother had it, and he gave me it.
There's a great documentary called The Toys That Made Us on Netflix. You should watch it. It's really good.
Yeah?
Yep. It goes through like every major toy line and like the history of toys.
Is it long?
There's 8 episodes.
Oh, okay, good.
They're like an hour long. But yeah, so I think the only way they're going to get this, like, I think the Jane thing is still odd to me.
You think?
Yeah, not so much because it's like Jane being Thor. I'm not saying like, oh, Lady Thor. I'm like, whatever, cool. But
well, you also didn't like it in the comics.
I wasn't a fan of it in the comics, but that has nothing to do with the movie.
Okay.
Like,
I'm just saying.
As always, like, the movies kind of dictate back and forth, but what they do in the movies is not. The movies aren't made for us. They're not made for true blue comic fans. They're made for the masses. They're made for most people to like to get into this stuff. It's basically like
we're a part of the masses, though.
Yes, but we're also we have the also the knowledge base and the almost curse of knowing too much, and having those expectations preconceived. So by the time they make these movies, they're like, it's really not for comic fans. The movie, even though we love the movies, there's nothing wrong with I still love the movies, still love Endgame, Infinity War, love all these movies, but they're not for us. They're for the masses.
It's not for the diehard comic readers.
It's almost,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like a giant commercial to get people into the medium and into the.
It's for the lowest common denominator.
Exactly. So, I think as far as the whole story went with Natalie Portman, who I love Natalie Portman, like I was 10 years old when episode 1 came out, Phantom Menace, when she was Queen Amidala, and I was obsessed with her. Loved her. And I think now, with everything that happened at the end of Thor 2 and all the bad taste in almost everyone's mouth, right? Like you had Hemsworth, who was like, we need to change this or I'm kind of done. Natalie Portman was like, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with it.
Well, they weren't using her character at all.
To now have her come back and like, yeah, I'm Thor now. It's almost like interesting. Like you walked away. The series got like the movies got crazy good and made billions of dollars. And now you're like, I get to be Thor now. Like
this also could be part of their plan the whole time.
True, but in the real world, it's like doing nothing and getting a promotion. You know what I mean? It's like in the real world, in our world,
that happens all the time.
But in our basic, like, not $1 million world, it's the equivalent, in my opinion, to, half-assing the job, quitting, and then coming back once they offer you some job. Like,
hear me out, though. Like you said, these movies and the in-depth knowledge of the behind the scenes and all this stuff, the average person does not know or care.
True.
Like my mother loves Thor, all the movies. Ragnarok, fantastic. I mean,
he's a sexy beast. What's up?
She loves Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. She has no idea about all the behind the scenes shit, about contracts. I talked to her about this. She's like, how do you know all this? I was like, Mom, it's my job. She's like, oh, thank God. I don't understand this.
Good job, Bobby. Good job.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And I was like, hey, Mom, you want to hear something crazy? She's like, what? They're making Thor 4. She's like, ah! I was like, it's going to happen.
And she played Love Gun and danced in the kitchen.
No. I was like, it's going to happen before him with the Guardian. She's like, that's okay. He's still going to be with them, right? I was like, yeah. She's like, okay. And I was like, oh, and they're going to be a lady Thor. She's like, ah. She has no idea.
No.
But that's like you said, that's the masses. Yeah. Most people don't care if that Natalie Portman left and came back.
True.
Most people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's cool. They revived the character, like their perspective. Yeah. Oh, cool. They revived the character. They didn't do a lot.
It's something new.
It's different. Oh, it's woman power. Oh, she's going to find a queen. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Feminist hoe.
I think the big story.
She-Man. No, that's not right.
She-Man. You mean He-Man?
Yeah, He-Man. But I was like, like He-Man. She-Ra.
She-Man.
Like He-Man. He goes hurrah. I was trying to think of like a female version of that. I was like She-Man. I was like, that's totally not the same. That's a whole different thing completely. She-Ra. I like She-Ra. Like hoorah.
I like
She-Ra. No, I don't want. She-Man gives up the wrong thing completely.
Oh, that's fucking.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, but I think as far as now that I'm done,
let's hurry up and switch to another topic.
Please start another topic. But no, like I think as far as the Jane story, I think the one way to get not only the masses to realize it, but also the comic fans to not like take a crap all over this idea, which regardless, it's going to happen no matter who likes it or not. But I think they have to do the cancer story.
No, I think they will.
I think they can't not do the cancer story. And I think they actually are in a perfect spot for it because she's been gone so long. And because we don't know what's happening to her. And
true.
I think you give Thor something where it's like everything with loss of Thor has been because someone's physically stronger or physically stopped him from doing something. You give Thor something about someone he cares about that isn't something he could fight with his fists or his thunder, and that he can't have any control over, then that's a story I want to see.
Let me take it a next step further.
Ooh.
She gets cancer because of him. Because of when
because they had sex.
The red thing. No, not that. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
no, when the red goo was in her, man. When the Reality Stone energy was in her.
The ether.
Yeah, the ether. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And they took it out or whatever. Like the fact that it was in her and she got healed.
Like radiation or something.
Got like kind of radiation poison. Got like sick and got cancer. And now he blames himself for this. This person he used to love, he hates. Well, not hates. He hates that he did this to the person that he loves.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But I think regardless, they have to do that story with
I agree.
cancer and make it legit, and add it to that story.
Did
But
she die?
I'm worried that they're going to overshadow Chris Hemsworth's Thor. And the focal point will be on her and Valkyrie. I think we need more Valkyrie because we've only gotten tidbits. But I don't know.
I think this
I'd
movie's-
also like to see who the villain is too.
I think this movie is going to be like Thor helping and assisting setting up that universe without him.
Is Beta the villain?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then Beta becomes like Beta at the end?
Yeah, like Loki.
No, Beta's not like Loki.
I think no, but I'm saying like I think Beta's going to be like this arc's like Loki for in the Thor realm, where, like he was the bad guy and then he kind of becomes good over slowly.
Whatever gets freaking Beta Ray Bill into this MCU, I'm in.
Speaking of the MCU, I have another news. It's a terrible segue, but the Black Widow movie is going to be the first movie that's going to be in the Phase 4 slot. It's going to come out May 1st, 2020. And yes, it is a prequel. It's going to take place after the events of Civil War, before Infinity War.
Yes.
Right? I got that right?
Post-Civil War, pre-Infinity War.
Correct.
Yes. Very, very specific timeline. This, along with Eternals, we guessed were the next year slots. So yay for us. But yeah, I think I'm most excited for the Taskmaster in this movie.
We were talking about this off air. The Taskmaster, the identity. I know you're in the camp that it's going to be David Harbour.
I think it's a possibility that Red Guardian becomes Taskmaster. Yeah, it's a double. It's
like Red Guardian becomes Taskmaster. That'd be cool.
Or he is, and we just don't know it.
I think they're going to make Taskmaster a female, one of her female friends.
I don't.
From the Red Room.
I don't. I hope they don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I think that's a. I don't think you need to make that one a female.
I mean, I understand, but like, it's all whatever the better story is. So like, if they have like, oh, that person becomes Taskmaster because of the whole,
I'd like to see Red Widow.
Who's Red Widow?
The really dark evil assassin widow.
Isn't that from?
She's been lingering in the background of Avengers.
Yeah,
with the Russian team.
Yes, with the Russian team. Thank you. With the Soviets. That'd be cool.
I think one of them might be Red Widow. You have Red Guardian too.
Red Guardian, Red Widow. You said if the whole Russia's attacking us, you could have Russia versus United States again.
Yeah.
America versus the Russians. Russians.
I think with Scarlett Johansson, this is probably her last movie, right?
Yeah.
I think when you do,
I think she's done.
I think having her fighting Taskmaster as a male and beating Taskmaster as a female might be the better play, too.
I mean, I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
Well, here's the thing. So there was a lot of controversy, and not really controversy, but a lot of talk about that scene in Endgame where all the women kind of have that A-Force moment.
Yeah, that's dope. That was
Peter
dope.
Parker.
It's pandering, but really cool.
We all said it was pandering, but it was okay. It was fine pandering.
I loved it.
It was fine. The one thing I didn't like about that moment was I thought it kind of sucked that you did that moment without Scarlett Johansson. You had that moment without the Black Widow, without the female character that started that was the first female character in this universe.
But spoiler alerts, she died.
Obviously. But to me, that moment then should have happened in Infinity War.
She was the martyr that set forth the coming of them.
True. But I still think that's a tough moment to not have her in. At the end of the day, they made the choice, and it still was a part of it. But to have all those women there and then basically say F you to Thanos with Scarlet there doesn't take away, it adds.
I agree with that.
Obviously, it doesn't make sense in the timeline of what happens in the movie, but I don't know. I think they could, with Taskmaster being this highly trained military, ex-SHIELD, ex-everything, special ops, with the sword, with the mask, with the smoke bombs, with the speed. I think having that be male and giving her almost that moment would be really cool to see. That she didn't get an Endgame with the rest of the female characters, but seeing her take one down on her own the way we know she can, right? But like she's kind of just taking down like regular grunts.
Yeah, she's beating men all the time.
Shit out of all the time. But to take down a super villain male, I think would be pretty cool.
Would be pretty cool.
And it's Taskmaster. I love Taskmaster.
All right, guys, that was the Phase 4 lineup. Please let me know down in the comments below what your favorite announcement is. Let me know what your theories are. I did not expect you to talk. That was good. I was like, oh, he speaks.
In a podcast, really?
Yeah. Well, I was doing the call to action. Usually you're just telling me, like, yeah, you got it, Rob.
I didn't know what hand signals to throw out, so I was just like, do it.
Good. Moving on, guys. We want to talk about Phase 5 mentions. As I mentioned before and I spoiled, yes, Blade is coming to the MCU. Mahershala Ali is going to join
Mahershala!
The MCU. I know you have a hot take.
I have many hot takes.
Give me 1 second. Let me set something up, and then you can say your hot take about it. So, the story of how he actually became Blade in the MCU is great. He was actually casted like 8 or 9 months ago, and it was just from a phone call. He called Kevin Feige because they have each other's numbers.
Because rich people do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's rich people. I think it's like actor people,
Hollywood people.
They're
rich Hollywood. Yeah.
Are they rich? Yeah, but they're rich.
Is Kevin Feige rich? Is that the question you're asking?
I wonder how much he makes.
A lot. After a while, it doesn't even matter what the number is. It's just called a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think he's made more than Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, man, I think he's so rich.
Anyway, that's besides the point.
He
called him. He was like, hey, Kevin, I want to be Blade. You want to be Blade? Yeah? Okay. Done.
Great idea.
And they had the announcement, like everybody was wearing the Black Widow hat.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I know you wanted to wear a hat, but you have one of your own. Why don't you go ahead and put it on? And he puts on the Blade hat, and the crowd goes nuts.
And I went nuts, and I backflipped and screamed. And
in his mind, he can't really do that.
I went absolutely insane. I don't know if there's a more perfect casting for a character right now than Mahershala Ali as Blade. I don't think
it's a hot take.
I don't know if Idris Elba as Blade would have worked as well.
He's too brolicky.
He's too suave in Idris Elba.
Yeah.
But like I think this is one of the best castings they've had since RDJ as Iron Man. I am so excited for this. And this is also like the fact that Kevin Feige mentioned Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Mentioned Mutants, Guardians 3, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, and what else? That was everything, right?
Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2. Yeah. All these bigger movies talked about Mutants, the Fantastic Four. Said we didn't have enough time for Mutants. All that to me...
He's a liar. He could have made the time.
All that to me swiped to the side with this Blade announcement. Arguably, besides the Fantastic Four.
All right. I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah.
They're dying to hear it. What is your hot take with Blade?
My hot take with Blade is, by the time they eventually make this Blade movie, I think he will be more popular than the character itself of Black Panther.
I think he's out of his mind.
I think as much as everyone loves Black Panther, me included, I think Black Panther gets outshined by his co-stars in his own movie.
Yeah, I get that.
I think that they need to expand him better. Even though I love the first movie, I think he needs to have more... like, obviously it's an origin story. It's how he becomes king. Now he could kind of roll with it and be in other stuff. And
side note.
Yeah. The rumor. You talking about the rumor? The Black Panther 2 rumor?
Yeah. Oh, what is it? It's called Two Kings, right? Or something like that?
The Two Kings with the K is like Namor's trident.
It's fucking Namor. We all know it's fucking Namor.
I hope it's Namor.
We talked about Namor coming in the MCU, and he's gonna be the villain in Black Panther, and then he's gonna become like the good guy, or they're gonna make Namor the actual Loki of the MCU first phase.
I want. Here's something.
Because
I want Namor.
Oh, go ahead.
To be Vegeta.
Nah, not right away.
What do you mean?
Wait.
He's the villain.
Okay. Yeah.
And then and then they have to keep going to him for help until he just agrees. But he doesn't like it, but he does. Because he doesn't have a choice, because his 7 kingdoms are a part of this world.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like
I'm with you on this.
Yeah, like he's almost like the Vegeta where like in the beginning they have to fight him. And it's like, no, you're a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. You want this and this and this. And he's angry for a reason. And then that gets flipped and he has to become like a good guy, reluctantly become a good guy.
Is Thor or Goku?
Well, I mean, it would be Black Panther technically considered the fact that, we're going to make a Piccolo.
No, I just want to understand something. You're saying, in your analogy, Black Panther is Goku, right?
I'm saying if in the story, if Namor is in the Black Panther movie, yes.
And you still think that Goku Black Panther is going to get outshined by Blade. Your words, not mine.
Bro,
you just said Black Panther was Goku.
I'm saying I love Chadwick Boseman. I love Black Panther.
Wakanda forever. But I think his supporting cast, for some reason, outshines Michael B. Jordan, Shuri, double folded the things that he did in that movie. I think when it comes down to Blade and just hack slash badassery, vampires, dead, which brings it back to your theory of vampires possibly coming into the MCU. Hopefully it's Dracula. Dracula's a big villain. Could be an Avengers villain too if they really want to go dark. He should be.
Which they won't do, but
What if that is the next phase of the MCU? They go into the darkness.
They will in their own movies. I don't think Avengers is going to have Dracula.
No, the whole thing.
The Band of Darkness?
The whole thing. What's the Band of Darkness?
The band called The Darkness? I believe they call Love.
They're called Darkness? I never knew the name.
Darkness, yeah. Great.
The more you know.
But I don't know. I think Mahershala Ali, even as hot as he is right now with all his movies, got 2 Academy Awards. This could outshine the character itself of Black Panther as far as the black superhero. Also, Blade's American. Black Panther is an African king. And as much as and I'm a huge historian, especially of comic books. You watch all these history stuff about, black people in comic books. Black Panther was the first.
Yeah.
But by the time Luke Cage came around, that's when, because comic books are an American culture. By the time Luke Cage came around, that's when people felt connected to the character. Yes, he's a black man, but he's in Africa. He's a king. None of us can relate to that. Dude from Harlem, who's walking around just trying to make ends meet so he can pay his bills.
I get it.
With super strength, that's more relatable. Vampires, not relatable. I mean, to some, maybe. There's those clubs with I don't know what goes on there.
I do.
You would. You totally would.
I know what happens there.
Because I do. I know what happens there.
You don't want to go there.
I don't know what goes on in there. Not my scene, but...
It's not my scene. I just know what happens.
Oh, okay. But Blade as a vampire, as a daywalker in that vampire world as an American superhero, as Mahershala Ali, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Hot take. Just a hot take. But excited either way.
So, guys, that has to wrap up this episode of the Jersey Comic Group podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said before, leave us a comment down below what your favorite announcement out of all this is. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Give us a like, hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out, and share this with all your friends. And if you're listening at home or on your drive to work, to a job that you hate, we understand. We're all doing it. And hopefully our conversation made your day a little bit brighter. As always, I'm Rob Moran.
And I'm Chris Heller.
And we'll see you next time.
JerseyComicCrew.podbean.com